Ethnicity is an important issue that affect the way political systems work. Let us discuss ethnicity in the context of Naga people. Nagaland or Naga people raises certain questions of ethnic diversity. This is one. And gap between the majority and minority. Majority-minority gap. And power inequality. Power inequality. And the issue of nationalism. And also the issue of identity also. How identities can be created, changed. So Naga people raise some very important issues. Okay. First, who are these Naga people? Naga people are not simply the people from Nagaland. They are a very diverse group. Naga people are spread over 6 states of India and also Myanmar. There are 1.7 millions in Nagaland, 0.7 in Manipur, 0.2 Arunachal, and 4 to 8,000 in Assam, 3,000 in Meghalaya, 1,000 in Mizoram. So 2.7 millions in India and around 0.3 millions in Myanmar. So Naga people are spread across so many areas. And they don't constitute one language or one culture, one society. These are all various ethnic groups and speaking 89 different languages and dialects. 89 includes dialects, which are often unintelligible to the others. Okay. But there is a similarity, and all these languages come from Tibeto-Burman family. Okay. How can there be similarity across diverse groups and what can be common? Sometimes this happens like one group splits, one tribal group splits and then pursues a different geographical niche and unconnected. So different tribes develop, tribes to sub-tribes and then finally to tribes. Some broader connections remain, but much diversity develops. So it can be a new tribe or a sub-tribe. It can be new language or same language with dialectics. So, and the tribes can split along lines of clans, and the clans can go in different directions, and geographical separation will contribute to cultural separation over a period of time. So some commonality remains because of some common origins, and divergence also develops. Okay. How did they get this word Naga? They are called Naga by Assamese. But same people were called Ho by Manipuri, and Chin by Burmese. So there is nothing common, because of which English is declared official language in Nagaland. They also know what is called a Nagamese. A Nagamese is a creole language form of Assamese. It is a form of Assamese. Creole language is a language that develops when people from different languages come to interact. So there is nothing like Nagamese as one language. It is simply a new one when people from different languages are forced to interact. Okay. 1991 census listed 35 Naga groups as scheduled tribes, 17 in Nagaland, 15 in Manipur, and 3 in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. So official list is not 89, but only 35. Because various subgroups or sub-tribes may have been considered as one tribe. Okay. How are all these tribes or distinct groups may come to think that they are one? Now there is a demand that all Naga people should come under one political system. But previously they were unconnected, they didn't know one another. They are spread over. How do different groups spread across become one Nagas? So as of now, there is one organization, not only one organization, but there are many in Nagaland and outside who want one political entity out of all Naga inhabited areas. That is called Greater Nagaland. See, an organization by name NSCN, National Socialist Council of Nagalim, Isaac and Moa, NSCN-IM. They want Greater Nagalim, and look at what they want. Not only NSCN, but Nagaland Assembly endorsed this demand for Nagaland 5 times, including as recently as 2015, after it was created in 1963. Nagaland was created out of Naga Hill district of Assam, this is Assam, and Suyang tract of Nefa, which is now Arunachal Pradesh. So some tract of Arunachal Pradesh and one district of Assam was taken out of them and was created Nagaland in 1963. So only out of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland was created. But Nagas were there in Manipur, some in Mizoram, and chunk in Myanmar. Why was not state created in 1963 consisting of all the Naga people? Number one, Myanmar is an independent country, so India could not have created out of them. That is one. And Manipur was a state, was a princely state with its own independent entity. So Manipur won't agree. And so only from Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland was created. But why were Nagas divided between Myanmar and India? That was an arbitrary division. It happened because of this. It was in 1826, Assam was annexed by the British. So Assam became part of British India in 1826. When Assam was annexed as a result of Anglo-Burmese war, and at the end of it there was Treaty of Endabo, and as a result of treaty, some territory was taken by the British, okay, and when this territory was being taken, Naga people were carved between Burma and India. So Britishers did not pay attention to the homogeneity of the population. So Naga people were there in Burma and also made part of Assam. Then much later Burma became independent. India became an independent country. So Naga people were between these two countries. So the distribution of Nagas between India and Myanmar is outcome of this 1826 treaty, which is arbitrary from Naga point of view. And then after that, the British created one district, Naga Hill district, as a scheduled district in 1881. They created a scheduled district because as a part of British administration, they were trying to create different structures for tribes. But why? The British was interested only in development of tea in Assam, and when tea estates were being developed, there were raids from Nagaland, Nagas. So it was then they wanted to control the Naga, and as a result of it, which they went for a separate administration. So that was how Naga Hills district was created, and the different arrangement with certain changes. For example, blood feuds, head hunting stopped, and they gave certain importance to traditional leadership at village level, and they also allowed customs to be laws instead of imposing their own laws on Nagas. So, which means as a result of the British legacy, number one, people were divided. Number two, they were administered differently. Number three, certain reforms took place. Number four, Christianity also was introduced. Okay, among the Nagas. So, at one time they were very wild, distinct, hostile to one another. But so many changes took place during the British rule. Okay. And these changes themselves contributed to Naga identity, because all of them were being subjected to one kind of administration. And there was no occasion to continue the old hostility of local warfare, headhunting, and things like that. So, which means the hostility across the tribes. Hostility across the tribes. Down. War. Down. Christianity. Up. Culture change. In similar way. Up. Common administration. Up. Which means the British rule itself contributed to Naga consciousness. Like British rule contributed to consciousness of India. So Naga nationalism, you can say, is outcome of the British rule, just as Indian nationalism is outcome of British rule. So this is how identities are created. India was created. In the same way, Naga consciousness was created. Naga identity was created. And Naga identity was created in a way in opposition to other identities. Naga versus India. Indian identity is the mainstream identity. Naga identity is different. Okay. Both were outcomes of British rule. There was no reason for people from UP and Bihar to think that Nagas were theirs. No ruler from India had ever ruled Nagas, nor there was any religious connection, cultural connection, racial connection, nothing. For people from Kerala and Tamil Nadu and UP and Bihar to think that they had something to do with Nagas, was outcome of Indian nationalism, which is an outcome of reaction to British rule. Mutually hostile different language speaking groups to think that they are one and they are Naga is also an outcome of the British rule. So in that sense, this opposition also is the outcome of British rule. It is wrong to think that Indian nationalism is natural and Naga nationalism is very unnatural. Indian nationalism is not so natural, and so is Naga nationalism. So, like, huge thing became one, different groups becoming one, like this. Okay. They were different previously, but during the British administration, as a scheduled district, also called excluded area in 1935 Act, different administration, Christianity, different reforms, changed Naga society, brought uniformity, but also retained the contrast with the rest of British rule. So, two identities developed. Okay. This you can see as a historical process. For example, during the constitutional reforms, in 1929, Naga Club approached Simon Commission regarding what they are expecting from the Commission. They told the Commission that the British should either retain them separately under the Crown, retain them separately, not merge with the rest, or leave them as they were before the British came. Which means Naga people, as represented by Naga Club, did not want to be part of India. That was as early as in 1929. And in 1946, there was a proposal that there would be a separate administration coming under Crown Colony, which could be a joint responsibility of the British India and Myanmar for the Naga inhabited areas of India and Myanmar. But Naga National Council rejected this idea. So, which means there was some thinking in terms of distinctness, separation of Nagas, their uniqueness, and how to handle this uniqueness. Pakistan was getting formed, and surely Nagas would think about their own future. And in 1947, August 14th, one day before Indian independence, Naga National Council under leadership Ngami Zapu Fizo resolved to establish sovereign Naga state. So, Nagas, as represented by Fizo, wanted a separate nation. Didn't want to be part of India. Okay. And in 1951, NNC conducts a referendum in which 99%, according to that, supported an independent Nagaland. So how valid is this 99% figure is an issue. But one can assume that people would have preferred an independent state, going by the later day resistance of the Nagas. In fact, in 1947, there was a agreement between governor of Assam and Nagas that Nagas would be administered as per their expressed wish, and this wish would be ascertained again after 10 years, which means some assurance was being given that we would respect your will, though there might not have been any assurance of creation of a separate nation if people wanted after 10 years. So these developments show that Naga people, because of their different history, culture, even race, wanted to be separate from India. And India did not like that proposal. What did that lead to? Yes, that led to a lot of violence. That is called insurgency. Okay. Now let us look at ethnicity from insurgency point of view. The problem is ethnic differences affect resistance also. So there are different groups, tribes, sub-tribes, clans, and then coming from different areas. Okay. So how will all these people provide resistance to Indian rule? There is no unity. Remember, these were the people who either did not know, or when they knew them as rivals. They were fighting among themselves. Which means there was no unity across Naga people, except that they are united against external entity, that is India. But left to themselves, they don't have any unity. So this is the ethnic diversity that would affect any united fight against India. Okay, because there can be differences in terms of peaceful and to accept India or not accept. This is one. Accept in the sense that not because that is their first priority, but because of, okay, helplessness. So some people may think it is unwise to fight and so yield, and some people think, no, we shouldn't. So which means even if they are opposed against India, there can be differences in terms of to what extent they should continue to oppose and when they should compromise. That's one. And leaving the people who are opposing, then there are so many tribes. So leaders come from different tribes. So which tribe wants to lead and who are the leaders? That is to say, a person will have support from his tribe instead of from the other tribe, which means diverse tribes will produce diverse leaders, and there can be lack of unity among the leaders. So if one group thinks to do, decides to do business with Indian government, the other group may oppose. Okay. Or when different groups take to arms, how will they get the money? An armed group will get money depending upon its support from the people, the money support. They, in this context, they collect taxes from the people, which Indian government calls extortion. So from which people, from which area, one group can extract and another group will find it difficult to extract. So there can be fight between the groups, even if both of them are committed to give armed resistance to India. Okay. So factionalism, because of ethnic diversity, because of different leaders or their ego clashes, prevent a common fight against India. So that's why you see different groups and different strategies. So let us look at the history of insurgency. So in 1956, Fizo formed Naga federal government and Naga federal army. Okay, there's a challenge to Indian government and Indian army was sent. And in 1958, Armed Forces Special Powers Act passed. Okay. And lot of violence took place. Unfortunately, this was during Nehru's time. Nehru, the favorite disciple of Mahatma Gandhi, unleashed violence against these people. Indian army was sent. Indian army did things atrocious, burning villages, raping women. Indian leaders were in jail during the British rule fighting for freedom. Okay. And once they are in power, these are the things that they do to others. Maybe they did things which the British people did not do to them. The British people did not burn villages. Did not rape women. But the Indian Army did it. Under Nehru's leadership. Okay. In 1975, a section of NNC signed Shillong Accord and some don't. So because of which a different group is formed. In 1980, NSCN was formed with Moa, Isaac and Kaplong, which was further split in 1988 into NSCN-IM, NSCN-K. And from 1991, NSCN-IM became important. NSCN-IM became most important armed group. Okay, now with its headquarters at Hebron, near Manipur. Okay. In 1997, a ceasefire agreement with the government of India took place. And before that, there used to be a lot of violence between the government and the NSCN-IM. So many deaths, so many people suffered. Things improved from 1997. Last peace agreement was in 2015, which is called Framework Agreement between Narendra Modi government and NSCN-IM. Talks had been going on between NSCN-IM and the government even before. They were going on for many years. But in 2015, when one of the leaders was about to die, Isaac was about to die, to seek his approval, they went for this framework agreement with an urgency that was signed by Isaac from an intensive care unit, after which he died. And only Mua is alive now. So now in recent months, it is reported that this framework agreement is failing. Because NSCM wants separate flag and separate constitution for Nagaland, with which the government doesn't agree. Okay. So these are the issues. So how do we handle this? Maybe certain conclusions are possible. For example, separate nation is not possible. Why is it so? Because in the first place, they are not at one one location. They're spread across states and two nations, which makes it very difficult. And even Nagalam possible, this also is not possible because three other states are involved. And remember, in the areas that there is a claim for Nagalim, there are others. So if you take these people, because it is inhabited by Nagas, but how about others? They won't agree. So they become minorities in Nagaland. So in trying to solve one problem, you create another problem. So Nagaland, it's a huge one. It is according to NSCN-IM, if NSCN-IM is granted its wish, Nagaland will be 7 times larger than the present day Nagaland. Okay. Present day Nagaland area is 16,000 plus square kilometers, and Nagaland is 1.2 lakh square kilometers. So minus Myanmar, it will be much less. But why would other states agree? Why would the people there agree? So separate nation not possible. Nagaland is not possible. What is possible is first probably a proper implementation of what is already given to them, 371A. Because 371A is a very interesting, important provision. See, no act of parliament in respect of religious, social practices, customary law will be applied to Nagaland unless Nagaland Assembly accepts. That is about legislation. Another thing is ownership and transfer of land and its resources shall apply to the state of Nagaland. I mean, no act will affect ownership and transfer of land, which means people of Nagaland will not lose their land to outsiders. And then they will have control over their resources, be it oil or mineral, because it transfer of land and its resources. Outside, yes, outside and inside. That is above and below. Be it forest, minerals. So all of them belong to Nagaland. And also entry into Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram is restricted by inner line permits issued, which means Nagaland is not like other states. So protection is given, but what is important is to respect it. So we should see what are the reasons why people don't think that they have enough power. What are the reasons if they think that they don't have control over their own resource base? So which means genuine decentralization and respect for 371A would help. And coming to Nagaland issue, there is a proposal that all Naga inhabited areas minus Myanmar can have one council with certain common agenda, and there can be exclusive protective measures under 6th Schedule for Nagas in Arunachal Pradesh or Assam and Manipur, which means Nagas in these three states can be handled through 6th schedule, and 371A can be effectively implemented. Okay. Maybe nothing more than that is possible given the ethnic diversity.